Minasama konnichiwa. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it's a great honor for me to be here and to be here again because it's my second time on the RRI and related conferences after last year's premiere. In the next couple of minutes, I will present to you how the German government is involved in the digital transformation process we have all around and what we call in Germany, or more or less worldwide now, Industry 4.0. Here you can see the development as the timeline is concerned. I will not go into too much of the details, but one thing is of importance. In the digital age, our starting point, 2011, was a long time ago, 7 years. It all started with scientific recommendations, and in 2013, the platform was established. 2015, we've decided to take the unions on board, and today the platform Industry 4.0 is one of the biggest and strongest expert networks worldwide, and it's internationally connected and has established several cooperations. What are our German ingredients to that? Well, on the left-hand side, you see what I would call the circle of success, because bringing together more or less literally to the table government, science, business, trade unions, and education is what is behind our philosophy to find the best possible solutions for the digital transformation. And on the right-hand side, you find I would say, typical German structure. It's more or less a house with the rooftop is the political guidance, and below you see the working structure for the platform, where we have our experts, the governance structure, and the governmental support established. So how does it work in practice? We have as you might know, dual vocational training. People go to school and work at the same time in a company, and my ministry is responsible for setting up the training regulations for more than 300 professions. And we usually, and by law, do this together with business and trade unions, but to be honest, this is cumbersome, it takes a lot of time, and so far our experience is it's more and over 10 years to reform a profession, which in the digital age is far too long. So our goal was to set up a new agile system that brings down the average time to lower than 2 years. And in 2015, we started with recommendations from the platform. In 2016, those were drafted into proposals. And in 2017, we reformed 11 relevant training regulations for professions that are vital for the digital transformation process. And on 1st August this year, it was all done, 18 months after the start, which is quite remarkable. The second example I would slightly touch on is the regulatory reform process. The pace of the emergence of new technologies has become extraordinarily fast in recent years, with new technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, blockchain, or quantum computing. The box you see on the left-hand side shows the difficulties related to respective areas of industry and manufacturing. The essential message is, without going into details, the more disruptive and strategic the issue, the more difficult are the solutions to find and to implement. And if you look on the right-hand side at the black slope, time's precious. More time pressure is on the individual sectors and reform processes, so that we have to have a new set of regulations in place to cope with that. And we do this on two levels. In First, the European level. There is a shift to more basic regulations that give companies, industry, the opportunity to do their work and have to comply over the evolving issue with the basic regulations set up at European level. We have here, for example, the General Data Protection Regulation, which requires certain framework conditions and that companies have to comply with. On the state level in Germany, we've established regulatory test beds. These regulatory test beds, in short, you can describe as trial and error in advance of establishing them in reality. So what are these test beds, or we call it in German Reallabor, which are testing spaces under real conditions. This is usually for a limited period of time over a limited area, and those tests are practical on both technology and business models. And why is this important to establish those test beds? Because you have the chance to go through the entire legislative process before setting the rules. The third thing we do from the federal level is supporting SMEs. More than 90% of our companies in Germany are SMEs, 90% more. So in 2015, we set up an online map to give best practice examples so that a company from, for example, the north of Germany who wants to apply Industrie 4.0 technologies and has no clue how to do that can find a best practice example on this online map, perhaps in the south of Germany, where, for instance, you see a lot of blue dots to indicate that a kind of expertise is gathered there. In 2016, we've added to that competence centers that are scattered all over the country, where the chambers of commerce provide SMEs with information and the necessary link to companies those SMEs willing to apply Industry 4.0 technologies can refer to, and this was quite helpful. But in the last 1.5 years, we tried to bring those two strands together in a transfer network to just a kind of one-stop shop for SMEs, give the opportunity to inform them out of one information point, which is the network, and within the network we find the best possible solution to help SMEs. To show our involvement as a government is, it is important to know that we have to pass through 4 steps till something that was an idea has become a standard. The first level is you have to find a common understanding at national level how to regulate, formulate, standardize in the ideal world something. And in the second step, you have to find the proof of concept at the national level. That is not sufficient in the modern time, so you have to find allies, join forces. And so the third step is to look for allies. And on the fourth step, you have the international standardization bodies that, in the ideal world, take up what is recommended at the first level and put into a legal system worldwide as a standard. To this end, we've set up a lot of bilateral and multilateral cooperations with a lot of different countries, and those standing for different standards as well, to find a common ground. So what does it mean in practice to go through the 4 levels of standardization? I have the reference architecture model for Industry 4.0 as an example. You see those 4 colors standing for 4 different steps. And starting in 2015, the RAMI model was presented. It was developed over time, 16, 17. It is now submitted for standardization at the international level, and we hope that by 2020 we are able to talk about something that is standardized at international level, based not one-to-one, but based mainly on RAMI 4.0. Same holds true for the administration shell, which is extremely important for Industry 4.0 technologies, because it's some kind of dictionary explaining all the features and characteristics of a digitized element. You can see that there is no date or point in time foreseen for the international standardization, which means there is a lot of work that has been done, but some work still ahead of us to find the international standards. And one of the utmost important aspects of Industry 4.0 is IT security. Since 2015, a lot of recommendations have been published by our platform. Those recommendations went to the process of reforming training regulations as well as into a national standardization roadmap. On the international level, position papers and demonstrators have been elaborated, and use case scenarios have been prepared since 2017. We hope and keep our fingers crossed that we have standardized solutions around 2020. And to take up the last part, which had nothing to do with improving the manufacturing process, but IT security is strongly related to that. We can divide our timeline into two phases. The first phase was from 2011 till more or less up to date. It was finding a platform, a working structure, bringing together different strands of academia and society to cope with the process of Industry 4.0. But with AI coming into play, it's a fairly new game. And so the 2018 and upward timeline will be dominated as phase 2 by AI. Our focus is on the application, highlighting that the use of artificial intelligence is to be developed in a responsible manner and for the good of society, with the aim of harnessing the new potential for value creation that it offers. And this is our task as a government, to support and to regulate. And between those two pillars is our work, our daily work, and we try to join forces with academia, with business, with companies, and with unions to come to this end. And I hope that when you invite me next year, I can tell you a little bit more about the development of AI in the second phase of Germany's transformation process in the digital age. Thank you very much.